Hi there. Are you someone who's been recently injured at work? If you have been, you've probably been provided with a whole mountain of paperwork from your employer and the WSIB, and it can be daunting and overwhelming. Hopefully today I can help you with one small aspect of that and making sure you get it completed properly. The form I want to talk to you about is called the FAF, or Functional Abilities Form. It looks like this. It doesn't have all the fancy highlights because we're going to talk about those in a second. But this is provided at the outset and throughout a WSIB claim, and the purpose of it is to provide the WSIB and your employer with information to allow accommodations to be set up at the workplace and determine what kind of work you're fit for. So the first page of this form, as you'll see, I've highlighted here parts that you can fill out before you go to the doctor's office. Please do that. Have that filled out, ready to go. That information is your name, date of birth, address, that kind of information, claim number. There's also your employer's name, address, and a little bit of information about the job you were doing at the time of the incident. That's information you know and that you can complete. Please don't make your doctor, physiotherapist, or chiropractor fill that out for you at the appointment. It's using up their valuable time. The bottom of that form is for your doctor, physiotherapist, or chiropractor to fill out. And that information is really for them to fill out their address, name, identity, and there's some information on billing there as well so that they can get paid by the WSIB for completing this form. That's the first page, and that takes care of that. All right, let's get to the more important page, page number 2. Now, page number 2, most of this information, as you can see, should be filled out by whoever's completing the form, your doctor, physio, chiropractor, or nurse practitioner. You can help them at the top with their name and claim number, but the rest is for them. Up at the top here is a series of check marks. Those check marks are essentially you can return to work with no issue or restriction, you need modifications or there are restrictions to what you can do, or you can't return to work in any capacity at all. Unfortunately, what we often see in cases is that last box checked off by a clinician who then ignores the rest of the form. And to be fair to them, the form does say you can do that. The problem arises is that because that isn't in any way rationalized or explained by the clinician, despite usually having a very good rationale, the WSIB sometimes disregards that check mark and simply says, well, the doctor didn't discuss modified duties with you or didn't know about what could be available, so we're going to say those duties were suitable and not pay you any benefits. This is a constant source of contention we see in WSIB claims. So if you are an injured worker, or if you are a clinician who's helping an injured worker with this form by completing it for them, please, if that is the checkbox that's being checked, go down to section E at the bottom where there are 3 lines down here and complete a brief sentence or two explaining why your advice is that they remain off work completely at this time. That goes a long, long way in any dispute that that individual may have with the WSIB or their employer about whether or not they should receive benefits during the time that you've suggested they stay home to recover. In addition to that, please indicate whether or not you've had a discussion, or if you're the injured worker, ask your doctor or whoever's completing it to indicate that you've had the discussion about light duties and modified duties. The WSIB knowing you've had that discussion goes a long way in them accepting your clinical advice or the clinical advice you've received to remain off work resting. The last thing I'll tell you is this: employers are entitled to know the restrictions and the abilities you have for returning to work and the approximate duration of those restrictions and abilities. That's why they're allowed to have this form filled out. They are not allowed to know information like diagnosis, test results, or other private medical information, which is why this form does not ask for it. If you're a clinician, please don't provide that information on this form. And if you're an injured worker whose clinician has accidentally provided that information on the form, you can ask for it to be redone without it. Please do get this form back in a timely manner because the employer is entitled to that information. And you don't want to be penalized for dragging your feet getting the form filled out. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, or if you're having trouble getting this form filled out, or filling it out if you're a clinician, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to jump on the phone and try to be of assistance, even if it's just for general information, in helping people navigate what can be a complicated process. Thanks, and have a safe day.